profile picture from a manga.
There it is.
Yeah, okay. If you can see my screen all right, then that should be fine. Like,
Yeah.
I have a notepad screen and a paint screen. That's basically all my tools, and I only need Epic Pen. Yeah, does it work fine?
Yeah, it's working perfectly fine.
Okay, okay. Well, then we can just get this straight into it, right? So I wrote down the basics that you needed to learn. These basics are about the game strategy. Okay, so there's only
Mhm.
4 basic theories you need to learn at the start, right? You only need to learn.
I also watched some guides about folding.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I think watching guys about folding at the start is not a good idea, although it's fine.
yeah, but I already watched the. Actually, I was getting kind of frustrated because I kept dealing
Mm-hmm.
into my opponents and I
Okay.
kept getting round.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
yeah.
was losing a lot of points that way. I was like, oh, what can I do? You can fold. And I
Oh,
forgot what it's folding and actually helped
yeah,
me save
right.
a lot of matches.
Yeah, it's really good to fold, especially when you recognize. Anyways, we should first start with this question, right? How do you win in Riichi Mahjong, right? It's a
Mhm.
pretty basic question that I want you to answer. Do you have
Hmm.
any idea how to win in this game? It's
By
kind
having
of
more points than the opponent.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. So, but so this is pretty true. This is exactly true. More points, right? But this is kind of like saying you win in league by destroying the enemy nexus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really everything, but that's a good starting point. So, what now the next question that I want to ask you is what goes into getting more points into the opponents than the opponents, right?
Getting making hands that have a lot of hand.
Okay, hold up. Now I'm gonna write this, okay? I'm gonna write this in the.
Okay.
Okay, so just to record your answer, okay? So we already know. I mean, can I fucking zoom in on this shit? Okay, nice. I can just do this, okay? Nice. So we already know more points than opponents, right? So for
Hmm.
that, you say, what's the first thing to do? Is making big
High
hands.
score hand.
Yeah, making
Yes.
high scoring hand. That's good. And is there another thing you can do?
Uh, Winning multiple hands.
Yeah, pretty true. Yeah, I mean, I just want you to list out anything that you can think of for now, okay? And of course, I'm gonna also tell you like my thinking process, and yeah, after you are done, winning multiple
But
hands, pretty good direction here,
but you can't win them all, so sometimes you have to minimize losses.
pretty good. Yeah, we talked about this last time a bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. Multiple Yakuman.
True. You have to win multiple Yakuman to win. If you don't get a Yakuman, you can't win. All right. And finally, get Yakuman every hand, right? Anyways. Okay, this is a pretty good like direction that you're thinking in. However, and like throughout this, like even today and throughout like the entire time I teach you, maybe I want this more to be a discussion sort of because, well, first of all, I don't claim to be like the most perfect like AI mahjong player, okay? So I don't claim to be the best, but I can teach you a lot of things. Anyways, so the way I like to think about it, okay, there's only 2 things to win. Okay, you don't. Well, you obviously need more points than the opponents, but there's only 2 things. You need to win points, and you need to prevent uh, opponents from winning points. There's only 2 things you can do, right? So, and this is exact, and from this concept is, oh, hold on, let me just say this. From these 2 concepts is where these basics come in: tile efficiency, Ricci theory, defense theory, and basic push world. Mind you, these are not all the like skills that are required to do both these things, but these are the starting points, right? So, however, now I want you to think of ways of preventing opponent from winning points. So the ways in which we can accomplish task 2, right? How to do task 2 is basically what I'm asking you. Can you think of
Not
anyone?
deal into them, I guess.
Exactly, not deal into them. Okay, but what's the problem with this thing? There is a small problem. This is exactly correct. The only way to prevent opponents from winning points in this game is by not dealing in. But there's a small problem with that, and I want you to have a crack at finding that problem.
I can think of two. The first one
Mm-hmm.
is that you don't always know what the opponent is looking for,
Okay, okay.
which tiles you can only know which tiles he isn't looking for,
Okay. For
and
it, let me just type that out. Okay, you don't know
yeah,
what tiles uh, they they might win upon, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, and
and sometimes when you're building a hand, you
mm-hmm.
might have to discard something the other one needs.
Okay. Well, okay. So basically, you're saying sometimes you might sometimes you might deal in, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Sometimes you might
exactly.
deal in trying to win yourself. Okay. These are good issues that you can think of, but I can tell you, it's pretty easy to know what tiles your opponents are waiting on if you're good at the game. And it's also easy, and because you can know what tiles they are waiting on, it's also easy to not deal
You
into
can,
them.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, because if you know,
because
then
you
you
know
won't
that you
deal
can.
in. Okay. The issue I
Hmm.
wanted to actually mention, okay, there's only one issue, and that is they can just win themselves. All
Hmm.
right, right. Like, what do you do if they just sumo or like the other three opponents just keep dealing into each other, right? That's a legitimate issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way we solve this problem, there is a solution to this problem now. There's another way to prevent opponents from winning. That is the answer is not dealing in. What's the second that solves this issue
Mm,
of them winning themselves? It's also pretty simple. You're gonna laugh at it.
I don't know.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine to not know. The solution is we win ourselves fast.
When faster.
Yeah, we win faster. Exactly. We win ourselves fast, faster than everyone. The keyword here is faster. Okay, and this. Hold up! I accidentally pressed split screen. This is the foundation of mahjong, at least the way I see it. You need to win, and you need to win faster than everyone else, because that's the only way that you are going to win points as well as prevent others from winning points, right? Winning ourselves achieves both one and two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and this reason exactly because we want to win faster than everyone else is why the skill of tile efficiency is the first mentioned skill here. Okay. This is the basic upon which even these other three skills, right? How, do you want to reach or not? Do you want to defend? How do you want to defend? And do you want to push or do you want to fold? Everything comes from tile efficiency. If you understand how to make a fast and efficient hand, you will know when to reach it, you will know how to defend, and you will know when to push and to fold because you can weigh the risk and reward, sort of, right? That makes sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, all of
Yeah.
this is to
It
say,
does.
by the way, if you have any questions or any points at any time, you can just mention them. All of this is to say
Okay.
this, and I want you to memorize this by heart. Okay, attack is the best defense in this game. Okay,
Okay.
and this is If
That makes
possible.
sense.
Uh,
Be- because even the weakest attack cuts off an opponent's attack. So.
exactly. Imagine you win a 1000 point hand, right? A 1000 point hand. Okay, but you win it on turn 3. Meanwhile, on turn 3, your opponent was on a Yakuman Tenpai, right? But he didn't win. What's the use of having a Tenpai if you didn't win? Even if it will give you 64,000 points. What's the use? The 1000 points is much better, right? You go into the next round with more points.
Hmm.
Okay? And so this is how I want you to think. Attack is the best defense in this game. There are obviously some games in which you have to take defensive positions. Mahjong is not a game like that. If possible, you want to win every single hand. Okay. However, you'll soon come to realize that's not really possible, simply because of the luck of the
Hmm.
draw, right? So
Yeah,
another
exactly.
foundation of Mahjong, this is the first foundation, attack is the best defense. And another foundation is that Mahjong is a combination of luck and skill. But I'm gonna put skill first because skill is more important than luck in this game. If you are skillful, you will climb even with bad luck. I myself am a pretty good attestment to this, or whatever the word is. Like I can confirm this because when I climbed from expert to master, as well as when I climbed from master 1 to master 2, both of the times my hands were really slow and I was really unlucky. The only thing I did was like it's like sitting underwater. I just held the pressure and looked for opportunities, and whenever it was my opportunity, like even if you're super unlucky, there will be one or two opportunities that come your way. You capitalize on them as much as you can. So, and I remember this specifically because I remember feeling, oh my god, I'm so skillful. And because I was not lucky. I just climbed because I capitalized on more opportunities, and I and
Hmm.
I like prevented my losses, right? So these are the two foundations of the game. You have to acknowledge the part about luck in this game because it's random. However, it's also what makes the game fair, right? Because everyone has to deal with it. It's not only you. All of the four people on the table will deal with luck. Okay, can we move on?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay, no, I'm just like
I
You
was
go silent.
thinking.
I guess maybe something didn't make sense
I,
or whatever. Or okay.
I was stuck thinking in how to tell when your hand has the potential to win or not.
Yeah, we're getting to
But
that
that's
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
We're gonna get every hand has potential to win, and that's once we establish the foundation. The first skill is style efficiency. Don't worry, buddy. After that, we're also going to look at some
yeah. But
biases.
of course there are hands that initially are slower than others.
Okay. For that, we are also going to teach you defense, of course, as well as how to identify them. That comes in this wishful theory. Anyways, so we can start with the tile efficiency now, right? I think that makes the most sense. And you understand. I mean, the only reason I wanted to mention this is I don't just want to like teach you like these things. You need to know why they're important because sometimes, uh, sometimes you might need to break the rules of like you can break any rule in the game, right? If you understand the reasoning behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you
have to know
needed.
the rules to break them.
Hmm.
You have to know the rules to break them. That's
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
a common thing. Yeah.
So I just wanted you to know why tile efficiency is the most important. It's because of these things. You want to win and you want to win fast. You want to win fucking fast, okay? You don't care about hand value. You win fast, okay? So I guess we
Yeah.
can just start on tile efficiency now. Okay, let me just uh, do it right. Tile efficiency. By the way, do you know all the tiles in the game?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. So there are 34 tiles in the game, by the way, and each tile has 4 copy. Okay, 34 tile, 34. 34 times 4 tiles. Okay, that makes a total of 136 tiles in the game. Okay, out of those 136 tiles, 14 tiles are always in the wall. In the that wall basically. Like you don't draw from 14 tiles basically. You might have noticed this when the guy was explaining how to build the table, right? But
What? Not 14 tiles in the. Ah, yeah, 14 tiles in the dead wall. Okay.
yeah,
14
uh,
tiles out. I
in the
didn't realize.
yeah, the main thing is not this part. The main thing is this part. There's only 4 tiles of each type. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, what this is going to mean is, well, first of all, we're going to be thinking in the number of tiles a lot. Okay. We're not going to be thinking in uh, what tile. We're going to be thinking how many tiles. Okay. So number of tiles
Mm-hmm.
and type of tiles. Okay. These are the two types of. These are the two factors that we are going to be considering the most. Anyways, I think we can just begin, and I'll define some basic terms for you so we can actually talk about some tile efficiency. The actual theory, which you might or might not have found videos on YouTube about. Uh, the first thing is what are the what are the types of tiles slash cluster of tiles, okay, in your hand.
Okay,
Okay.
like the honor tiles and the number tiles.
Yeah, exactly. You know the type of tiles, but sort of in a different way. I'm gonna basically what we're doing here is very uh, so every hand you have, right? Every by hand I mean the tiles in your like that you have the 13 tiles. You can break that hand
Yeah.
down into certain components. Okay, so I think this might be just a bad phrase. These components of your hand. Okay, so these are the components of your hand that you can break them down into. I'm just gonna reduce this somewhat. The first component are obviously isolated tiles. Do you understand what I mean by an isolated tile? So these are basically
Yeah.
lone tiles with no neighbors. Okay.
Yeah.
It,
Like okay, if I have like three of the sticks and the six and the seven, the three is an isolated tile.
yeah, exactly. That three in a six, three, three, six, seven. Exactly right. Okay. Another example is just a normal vest, like any normal like owner tile or any no basically that you only have one copy of. That also counts as an isolated tile.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that you can have, and this is going to be the big thing, you can have groups. Okay, groups can be of 3 types. First thing, you can have a set, basically triplets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Triplets can be like 2 2 2, west west west, or like yeah, just anything 9 9 9, whatever. Another group that you can have is a sequence. Sequence is just like 1 2 3, 2 3 4, etc. Right? And the final thing that you can have is a Khan. But the Khan is basically is just quadruple tiles, right? Uh, Quadra tiles. So this you also might have learned in that video. You can call Khan on certain tiles.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the third type of things that you can have in your hand is what I like to call joints, and other people like to use the word proto run for it, simply because there's
What?
a
Which one?
they call it a proto run. It's because this term was used in a very popular book that was made for beginners. However, I don't like to use the I don't like to use that term because it's way too complicated. Like, what the fuck's a proto run? Anyways, what I
It's
mean by joints
well, well,
is there's a
if it's
definition for
proto,
that.
it's because
Yeah, joints
okay. Go on. Let's listen.
is a cluster of tiles that becomes a group in one move. What I mean by one move is one draw. So if you draw a tile and if it's a useful tile, it will become a group. The joint will become a group. An example can be uh, like a 1 2, okay? Because if you draw the 3, then it will become a group, right?
Mhm.
Another example, a pair can also act as a joint because if you draw another of the pair, it will become a set. And another example is the 3-4, right?
3-4 is a good joint.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You
what
have
we're
two
getting at
tiles.
next.
Yeah.
So there are three types of joints, just as well, just as there are like three types of groups. No correlation there. Okay. Actually, there are four type of joints that I want you to think about. Okay. The first is a Ranman. Okay, this is the only good joint. Ranman is waits on 8 tiles to become group. That's basically what a Ranman is. You know this
Oh,
type of thing.
that's the maximum amount of tiles, right? You can wait on.
Actually, the maximum is I think it's 11, but that's gonna come in the next like
Oh,
component of the
I can.
hand.
It's because you have like two
You
two
can do a
sequences.
combo. Yeah, you can do a combo, right?
Right.
Yeah, so like a
Yeah,
two,
yeah,
three, four, five, six, and that will wait on like a 1 and a 4 and a 7, something. We're gonna get to that
yeah.
in the next component of the hand. But right now we're talking about the basic component. Another, uh, okay, now this is where is called the kanchan. Okay, this is a bad joint, and the reason it's bad is because it waits on 4 tiles to become a joint.
That's why it's a kanchan. Okay.
And 4 tiles is well, obviously, it's first of all it's half, and well, 4 tiles basically just means that well, as we talked about here, every tile is only 4 in the wall, right? In like in the game, and if you're
Yeah.
waiting on, and sometimes your opponents will have one of the 4 tiles, and sometimes the 14 tiles that are dead will have one of that 4 tiles, so it's really hard to draw like a single tile, right? Because it's only 4, and 4 is all there is. There's nothing like other, there's no other tile. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's the reason it's a bad joint. Hopefully it makes sense why Ranman is good and the Kanchan is bad. It's only because of the number of tiles. Okay.
Yeah, more chances to draw your tile.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
uh,
Um
and since there are so many ways for tiles to be missing,
yeah,
actually
because
4 is
mhm.
slightly less than 4.
Yeah, it's in reality these numbers are actually real numbers are way less than this. But we are talking about ideal situations first, right? You're learning the theory first. In gameplay, you'll almost always consider like, okay, it might be like 1 or 2 less, but that doesn't change the theory of the game. Anyways, the kanchan is of 2 types. The kanchan is not just a simple kanchan. A kanchan can be of 2 types. One is what we call an outer kanchan, okay, and this is defined as it will become Ryanmin, which is a good shape in one move. Okay, an example of this is 1-3. Okay, why is 1-3 an outer kanchan? What move makes the 1-3 a Ryanmin?
Getting a 2. Oh,
No, get
wait, what? What
you
move
want
makes the
you want this to become a Ryanmin, a shape that weighs
no,
on
you want
8 tiles. What?
if you get a 4?
Yeah, exactly. We should get a 4. So yeah. Hold on a second now. Oh, hold up. Someone's in the fucking chat. I didn't even fucking notice. Okay. Anyways, so this is an outer kanchan, and then there's the other thing, which is called the inner kanchan, which is basically the outer kanchan but cooler version, right? Like, the cooler version. It becomes random in 2 moves. Example of this is basically a 4-6 or a 3-5. And you can pretty much know why they become a random in 4 moves because you can draw on either side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and finally is the thing that everyone hates. They call it penchan. Poor penchan. It's also a bad joint, and it also waits on 4 tiles to become a joint. Okay. However, the difference between a penchan and a kanchan is it takes 2 moves to become a Ranman. Okay, example of a penchant is 1, 2, and 8, 9, and those are the only penchants in the game. It makes sense why they make two moves. Does that make sense to you?
Can become. It is moves to carry element in two moves, so you
Mm-hmm.
will need. Wait. Let me think.
No, no, yeah, it's fine to think because like you're a beginner, right? So you can think, take as long as you need. I normally don't even
Oh,
yeah, normally don't even mention this type of stuff to people, but since you're really new, we have to go through this because this is the fundamental. This is like last sitting on like the identifying components in your hand is literally like looking at the minion's HP in League, right? You need to know when the minion HP is going to be in your last hit window.
mm,
Um, this is the shape. Let me rephrase the question. And you want this shape to become, uh, for example, okay, I didn't give an example for this, so I'll just write it here. You want this shape to become 4, 5, okay? Let's say that.
mm.
How does a
Yeah,
1,
but
2
that's
become a
those
4,
are
5?
you have to draw for fives. You have to draw
Exactly,
four, and you
exactly.
have to draw
So it's
five.
gonna take two moves, right? Okay, so here's I want. You can
Okay,
visualize these things. Hey, hold up.
that's why only
Yeah,
that's why only one, two,
you
and
have
eight, nine
one,
are
two.
mentioned.
Okay, this is the initial. On first move, you're gonna draw a 4. Okay, then you'll cut the 1,
Okay.
so you have 2, 4, and then on the next move, you draw a 5, and then you cut the 2, so you have 4, 5 left, right?
Yeah.
So, and well, you can pretty much see which one is the better joint, right? Like who's the cooler version, right? Who's the cooler brother of the joints? It's the
The
Ranman.
inner kanchan. It's called. Wait, what? The almond. Okay.
Yeah,
The inner
Ranman is a
kanchan is called inner kanchan because it's the numbers that are in between one and nine.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that
Okay.
of course that's
Yeah.
self-explanatory. I should have mentioned that
Okay.
maybe.
And German is. Yeah. And
Ranman is a
Ryanman
good
is the
joint.
best. Yeah.
Okay, now we can move on to the fourth type of component that you can have in your group. So we mentioned isolated tiles, we have mentioned groups, and we have mentioned joints. Okay, what other
Yeah.
thing you can have? You can have pairs. Okay, pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But we normally don't consider pairs as joints, even though they can act as one. Okay, the condition is we need because we need one pair to win, right? We always need one pair to win.
Yeah.
So when we have more than one, basically two plus, they can be considered as joints.
Yeah. Because either of them can be a group.
There's a jungle man in the chat. He said he never learned last thing. Okay, typical jungle mains. Anyways, for jungle mains, this should be even more familiar because efficiency is important. Anyways, and the fifth thing you can have is what we call a complex joint, basically. A complex joint is basically the three joints, but with a pair, okay? So there are three complex joints, Riemann pair, which is basically like a two to three. Example, 2 to 3, 3, 3, 4, okay? And these
Mm-hmm.
wait on 10 tiles to become a group. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, because they're either waiting on one of the two threes or a
Yeah.
five
Or the 2,
or a
5.
two.
Yeah.
Or
2,
four
3, and
four
5.
fives, four twos, and two threes. Okay.
Yeah, so
Real
a
man pair.
Ranmin pair waits on 10 tiles to become a group. And then there's, of course, just like there's a Ranmin pair, there's a Kanchan pair. Can you give some examples of the Kanchan pair?
Let me see. It will have to wait on 8 tiles, right? So
You wait on 6 tiles on a Kanchan pair.
6 tiles. Let me see. one, two.
Yeah, 112 is
Wait,
a Panchan pair, but yeah, you're in the right direction. A 113 would be a Kanchan pair, right? You need a
1, 1, 3.
yeah, you need
Yeah,
the
because 1, 1.
113 is a Kanchan, and you just add a pair on that. By the way, just so you know, both 113 and 133 are a Kanchan pair. We consider both of them to be in the same category.
Okay,
Okay.
because they're waiting for
Yeah, these
6
wait on
tiles.
6. Yeah, that makes sense too, because the middle one and the pair on the one.
Yeah, wait. They're waiting for two threes.
Yeah, you can.
Threes for. Wait, it's actually 6 tiles.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
We, the way I want you to visualize these, okay, you can use a trick to visualize this. So, for example, let's say we're analyzing 133, right? Just, just think in your head, what tile will this draw? Okay, this will draw a 2
well, maybe
and a 3.
a two, a three. No, that's a two and a three. There's four twos and two threes. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to you?
I
Uh,
got it.
yeah, exactly. That's the way you count these things. You're picking up really quick, by the way. Oh, I should mention, by the way, before we continue any further, uh, I'm not really going to teach you the game to like play to like have fun and whatever because I think you're gonna want to play to win because if you win, it's more fun. The
Yeah.
reason why I'm saying that is because you already mentioned the fact that you recognize that you're not going to win every hand. Because a lot of beginners I was actually approached by like a novice player once and he said to teach him the game and I started teaching him this stuff and he just said no but I just want to have fun, I don't want to get so serious, and I'm like okay then just go and have
Then
fun.
why-
Like you know, that makes sense, right?
what 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 is there? Yeah, what is there to teach if you just want to have fun?
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff. Anyway, so I hope you're fine with that. The reason why I say that is because I
Yeah,
already know you're a league player, right? So you're pretty competitive. So
yeah, yeah.
I just
Yeah,
assumed
winning
you'll.
is always fun.
Yeah, exactly. We want to win here. The final component you can have is a complex group. Okay, complex group is a bit harder. Okay. So we already mentioned a group, which can be a set or a sequence or a con, right?
Yeah.
A complex group is basically just a group. It's okay. Let me explain it this way. It's a cluster of tiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the division into a group and a joint is complicated, not clear. Okay. And let me give an example
Mm-hmm.
of it first before you try to guess an example of it. An example of this is a 3-3-3-4. An example of this is it's a 3-5-7.
Oh,
An
okay. It's
example of
because you have like
uh,
you have a group built, but if you were to
and
get another tile and build a different group, you will have to disarm your first group, something like that.
yeah, exactly. So you're thinking correctly here. Uh, what's another example? Another example of this would be 3-3-4-5-6-7 and something like that. Okay. Uh, so
Mm-hmm.
why is this not considered a group? It's because I can divide this into different things based on what I have. Uh, oh, I can actually. I just learned that if I scroll, the thing changes. Anyways, you can look at 3-3-3-4 in two ways. Let me do this on a blank sheet, okay? You can look at it as a 3-3-3 plus one isolated 4 or a 3-3 pair plus a 3-4 Yanmin. Do you see how we can
Yeah.
look at it in different ways? And that's basically what separates a group from a complex group. It's in complex groups, you can look at them in multiple ways. And which interpretation is correct is often going to depend on the rest of your hand. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Which interpretation is correct will depend uh, on the rest of your hand. All right. And so this is basically the how do I say, these six things are basically what constitutes any mahjong hand. Like you can literally look at any hand that any player has ever played, and you can divide it into these six things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right, and this is the first skill that's going to be part of style efficiency. Is you have to be able to separate your hands into these things, because if you can identify the things, then you can do what we're going to teach you next, is how to identify which tile to cut. Okay, so
Okay.
I think we
Yeah.
can just pretty much move on to the thing, which tile to actually cut,
Yeah.
uh, do you want to take a guess? There's a pretty general answer to this. Do you want to take a guess at what tile do you want to cut? By the way, to give you a hint, the answer is just a basic answer like this. That's the sort of answer I'm expecting. So, like, the way you win is by winning points and by preventing from scoring points. So, which tile do you want to cut? There's a
I'm going to
basic answer.
say honor tiles
That's
because it's
that's that's a
they
pretty
us-
good.
they usually wait on less. They usually wait on less because they can't build what do you call them,
Uh,
escaleras,
a
the
sequence.
three fours or four
Yeah, yeah, a
sequences.
sequence.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, pretty good, pretty good. Honestly, it's a good answer. Someone in the chat got it right though. Okay, the answer is you just cut the fucking worst style. Okay, cut the
The
worst style,
worst style. Okay.
which basically means the worst style can be also be defined, which is basically means the most useless style. Okay, so which style is the most useless style? Well, first things first. Okay, what do we need to win? We need four groups plus one pair. Okay. No, it was actually correct, guy in chat. It was actually correct. That was exactly the answer I was hoping for, to cut the worst style. Anyways, let's identify the most useless style. Okay, so we recognize that we to win we need four groups plus one pair, right?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
and the
Mm-hmm.
Yaku, but yeah.
Well, okay, we are not okay, okay, yeah. We are not going to consider, I should mention this. Chitoi, which is the seven pairs Yaku, okay? Seven pairs.
Okay.
Or Kokushimuso, which you might have been, which you might want to win. But we are not going to
Yeah.
consider that. As well as and Nagashi Mangan. This is also a very special Yaku. We are not considering these three Yaku here. I always think it's a
Wait,
dragon
what's
card.
Nagashi Mangan?
Nagashi Mang. Oh, the guy in the video, in the rules video, didn't tell you about this Yaku. So
Wait,
Nagashi
wait, wait.
Mangan is
Ah,
when,
the one that's missing these cards.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't get that
every
one.
tile you cut, okay, every tile you cut is an owner. Okay, that's the first
Okay.
condition. The second condition is nobody calls on any of your tiles. And the third condition
Oh,
is the hand actually goes to a draw. If all three conditions are met, then you will get a
oh,
mangan.
what?
So it's,
Right, that's actually insane.
yeah, it's very rare. I have only gotten it once, and I have played about 1,000 games of this game. Can we consider American Civil War the local Yaku? No, we can't. Okay. So, anyways, wait, hold up. Let's speed this up a little bit, okay? I have like 4 more hours only, and I don't know about your schedule. Anyways, so what we can identify is we don't want to cut from groups, okay? And we don't want to cut from pairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. But we will not always have groups. So we also want to not want to cut from complex joints or joints, right? Because those are the tiles
Yeah.
that will become groups. So considering the
Okay. I have a question here.
go on.
Suppose I have a hand that I analyze my hand and I realize I have like
Mm-hmm.
two west winds. The
Yeah.
west wind is not my seed wind, and I
Yeah, yeah.
have like a 4-6. Well, 4-6 is it? Yeah.
Okay, you are two
Oh,
west
no.
and four six. You want to consider which one you want to cut.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
initially
Mm-hmm.
the West is waiting on two tiles maybe,
Yeah.
while the 4-6 can be waiting on less than two tiles too. But also the two West is is pretty useless because I can't use it for
Okay.
anything, and it's stopping me from getting other hands like what's called the all
Yaku.
singles, like a
Yeah.
Tanya.
Tanyao.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like an
Yeah.
open Tanya, for example.
Honestly, I'm surprised you're even
So
thinking this way, considering you're a
I
beginner at the
I
game.
think it every time I see it. Every time I see it, I'm like, is this bait or is this not bait?
Well, okay. Uh, you have. I think I already answered this question for you. You can answer this question yourself. What's the thing that we want to do? Consider this thing. We want to win faster. Okay. Which one is
Yeah.
faster in these? Okay. Which
Well,
one is?
West is waiting on two tiles,
And
and
this
four
is waiting
six
on four
is
tiles.
waiting.
Yeah, this
Yes,
waits
this
on
one is
four
waiting for.
tiles. This waits on two tiles. We get rid of this.
Not only that, but maybe 4-6 can become like a 3-4 and a
Upgrade.
6-7. So
Exactly. Oh my god,
yeah.
you're thinking so much in the right direction.
Okay,
Lots
yeah,
of people don't
it's
think.
basically super baited doble viento elite.
Yeah. Anyways, all of this was to say, here's the basic order of cuts, okay? You want to cut isolated tiles, okay? Isolated tiles are the most useless tiles when you consider hand composition, okay? Isolated tiles are
Mm-hmm.
useless basically because, well, they're isolated. You're gonna first need to make a joint, then you're gonna need to make a group from them, right? From isolated
Mm-hmm.
tiles, then you want to cut from joints. So it can happen that you have like so many joints. You don't need like seven joints in your hand, okay? You only need four joints and one pair, okay? And a joint is obviously the way you do you understand why doing the less arrows here? What this basically means is you want to keep joint in your hand
Yeah.
over an isolated tile, and you want to keep a pair over a joint because a pair
Okay.
directly contributes to the win, right? You need a pair, and you will
Mm-hmm.
prefer a group over a joint over a pair. The reason why I prefer group over a
Of
pair
course.
is because a group is harder to make than a pair. To make a pair, you can just draw any tile, right?
Of course. Of course.
Uh,
Pair is more valuable than joint. Okay.
Here's the thing, guy in chat. So he already mentioned that it's not his Yaku tile. So someone in chat was saying the exception is if the West was your Yaku tile, but you already knew that when asking that it wasn't right,
No,
like in the
I
West.
was thinking like south south wind seat. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, like
Anyways,
the west wind is basically useless. Okay.
yeah. So we've established the basic order of cuts, right?
Yeah.
Now what we can I want to define a few terms here before we proceed, okay? First, I want to define
Okay.
Shantin. Do you know what Shantin is? Did you watch a YouTube video on it?
I remember reading it, but
Okay.
I'm not
Well,
sure what it means.
Shantin is
Wait. No, I
basically
don't know.
the number of tiles you need to get to Tenpai. Okay.
Okay. Yes, one shanten. That's what I remember reading.
Oh, yeah, pretty good.
Because
Yeah, yeah.
it was when I was reading Unfolding.
Okay.
Someone was talking. You're like one
Yeah, you have
shanten,
to be one
and
Shantin
you're like
to want to
okay,
push. If you're not one Shantin, you generally fold.
okay, yeah. That
Yeah.
that was that
Yeah,
was
so Shantin is
check
defined as
that.
the number of tiles that you need to get to Tenpai, okay?
Yeah.
And well, here we can define another thing, okay? We basically want to play moves, okay? Mhm. Want to play moves that reduce Shantin. Mm-hmm. Makes sense?
Yeah.
And what are the moves that reduce Shantin? There's type move, making a group from a joint. That will reduce the Shantin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making a pair. What else is going to reduce Shantin? making a joint from an
Maybe drawing,
isolated tile.
yeah, exactly. Like drawing a 5 on a 4 that was isolated, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Suddenly, suddenly that isolated 4 is extremely good, yeah.
What else is going to reduce shanten? I want you to try. There's another thing. There's 4 tiles.
Wait, making a group,
I mean,
making a pair,
sorry.
making a shrine.
There's 4 things that reduce the shanten of a hand. I want you to have a crack at what the fourth thing is because these first 3 are pretty obvious. Right?
Yeah. Mm, no, I'm not sure.
It's calling. You can call,
Oh, okay.
right? You can call to do
Yeah.
any of the first 3 things basically. But you
Yeah.
can no, you can't actually do any of the things. You can only do to do the first thing, right? To make a group from a joint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh,
Anyways,
well, unless it's run, then you can use it to make a pair, right?
pretty correct. But if it's wrong, then we don't need to consider efficiency.
Yeah.
We already won,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Anyways, what I'm getting at here is we can now establish uh, the simple fact, okay, that to get to Tempai, right, we need to get to Ishanten to get to one Shanten, okay? And to
Mm-hmm.
get to one Shanten, we need to get to 2 Shanten, and to get to 2, we need to get to 3. That sort of line, okay?
Yeah, you just called it Ishanten.
Yeah, that's because the one is
That
called
that's
E
one
in
Ishanten.
Japanese. Yeah,
Okay. So,
it's
like
an
for example,
autopilot
a
for me.
Tushanten is like it's like a Nishanten when it's true, or is it like another? That's what I wanted to know because maybe someday I'll
Here's the
read it
thing. E
in
Shanten
a
is
text board or like
1, Ryan Shanten is 2, San
Nishanten.
Shanten
Okay.
is 3, Su Shanten is 4, U Shanten is 5, Ro Shanten is 6, and well, you're never more than 6 Shanten
Uh huh.
ever, basically, right? Uh, uh,
Yeah.
by the way, do you want to take a guess as to why you're never more than 6 Shanten?
I just assumed it was because there's there don't exist any hands that are more than 6 moves away.
Exactly, because you can always go for the 7 pairs if you just draw 6 pairs, and then you will be waiting on the last one. That makes sense? Pretty smart, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not considering a 7 pair hand, then it's actually 8. You can go up to 8 uh, if you're not going for a 7 pair hand. Then the highest shanten you can have is 8 shanten. I can also explain to that. So imagine you have like 13 isolated tiles, okay? You just select any 5 of them, okay? And you want to make the 4 groups and a pair around the 5 tiles. So basically, what this means is you have to convert the remaining 8 tiles into tiles around these 5 tiles, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the maximum shanten is always 8. Because you can always
Okay.
draw 8 tiles to get to 10 pi, no matter how bad your hand is. Anyways, the
Point
thing I
group
was
and
getting
a
at
pair.
here
Okay. Yeah.
is we want to, okay, and this is why there's a pretty famous 8 shanten for normal hand. Yeah, we want to emphasize uh, tile accept. Oh yeah, I should define tile acceptance too for you. Closer to tempi. This is the most fundamental rule of tile efficiency. I want you to engrave it in your fucking mind. Like, no matter, like, even if someone wakes you up from sleep, you need to say this. Like, what's the fundamental rule of tile efficiency? Emphasize tile acceptance closer to tempi.
We-
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Uh, anyways, I should define. Yeah, I wanted to define tile acceptance and upgrades for you as well. This is the final definition that we'll need. Okay, no more definitions after this. I promise. Tile acceptance is basically the tiles that. Sorry. Yeah, the number of tiles that reduce our shanten. Okay. So, for example, if you have a 2 and 3, okay, you have a tile acceptance of 8 from this joint.
Yeah.
Okay. Now overall,
Or
overall from like your entire hand, you will have a like different, bigger number than 8, of course, because you will have like other things. Like, so for example, you have 8 from this one, 4 from this one, and so on, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, but this is just to define it, and then there's the another thing is an upgrade. So basically, these tiles don't reduce Shanten, but they make our hand better. How do they make our hand better? So, for
They make
example, you can give me an example of this.
giving us more yeah, I was thinking giving us more options to reduce Shanten.
Yeah, exactly. So, for
That's very
example,
good.
if we have like a 1, 3, and we draw a 4, okay? The tile acceptance here is only from the 2, right?
Yeah.
But if we draw a
But
4,
then we
then
draw
it will
4.
become a 3, 4,
Now,
right?
yes.
So the 4 is
So you can
counted
be
as an
switched on the
upgrade,
5.
while the 2 is counted as an accepted tile. So this is an acceptance
Mm-hmm.
tile, and this is an upgrade tile, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so whenever you are playing, from now on, I always want you to first identify all the components of your hands. And second, I want you to identify the tile acceptance and the upgrades on your hand. Now, the reason why I want to emphasize closer to 10 pi is because when we're closer to 10 pi, we're waiting on less tiles. Does that make sense to you? When we're closer to 10 pi, we are waiting on less tiles. Think about it for a
Yes, of
second.
course.
Because we will draw the tiles that we're waiting
We,
on, right?
yeah, maybe when we have our handle, we have like a lot of joints, so we're waiting for a lot of tiles, but then we're waiting for less and less
Yeah,
tiles
not
to
even
come back.
maybe. That's exactly the case. When we start,
Yeah.
we're waiting for a
Yes.
lot of tiles, and then we draw the tiles. So, and near the end, we're waiting on lots of tiles, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
at the start, because we are already going to be waiting on so many tiles, we don't want to like think, okay, what's the best, like, what's the highest amount of tiles I can wait right now? We always want to think when I get a useful tile, then what can I do? Okay, we want to think in the next turns. Okay, because when it gets closer to 10 pi, the number of tiles reduces, and therefore even like the difference between a 3 and a 4 tile, like one shantain, is pretty big, right? So for example, if you're in one
Mm-hmm.
shantain and you're waiting on on 3 tiles, or you're waiting on 4 tiles, it's pretty big. It's like a 25%
Maybe,
different.
yeah, yeah,
So
actually,
that's
it's
basically the rule.
33. It's 33% more, isn't it? Because you have 3
Yeah,
and one
but
of those
it's
3.
25% less. I was going for the less one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, it's the cup half full or cup half empty type of debate, you know. The reason why I say this is because you will find a lot of like, and this is there's actually a pretty famous like a Euphoris or something, I don't even know. Like you'll find tile efficiency trainers, okay? There's this trainer websites, okay? And you don't use these
Okay.
websites. You don't use them. The
Okay.
reason is they don't operate in accordance to this principle. These websites always like work on the efficiency right now in this moment, okay? But that's not the
Mm-hmm.
fundamental of efficiency. We want to work in the future, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, finally we can get to the juicy stuff, okay?
Like that, what you mean basically is that
Mm-hmm.
those tile efficiency trainers
Mm-hmm.
assume that all tiles are in play, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. They assume all tiles are in play, and all tiles have an equal chance of drawing. That's also a pretty faulty assumption to have, by the way. So, oh yeah, I should mention this. Wait a second. Eredito, are you in the chat? If you're in the chat, type something. So there was this guy in the chat. He was asking about it yesterday too. I wanted to mention it to him as well. Mahjong, okay? In Mahjong, it's not random. I should zoom in for this. Hold on. Okay. It's not random, okay? Especially the better you get. Yeah, okay, you're here. So I really wanted you to hear this because I think this might be of use to you. It's not random. Why is it not random, the tiles in the walls and the tiles that you can draw? The reason is this is like the middle thing. There's player A, B, C, and D on the table, okay? And every single one of them is a human being, okay, who has some logic and some, like, basically he has some thinking process that he's going to use to then cut some tiles, okay? So there will be these cuts on the table, right? There will be cuts here, cuts here, cuts here, and of course you will also be cutting some tiles, right? Hello, are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the basically the thing is you
There's
can
slight delay on the screen, so
you
I
can
was.
then utilize this information to then know like what are the likelihoods of the tiles, okay? Because if someone, for example, cuts a 9 at the first turn, they maybe don't have an 8, right, of the same suit, because if they had an 8 9, then they probably won't cut it, right? That's a pretty basic
Yeah,
example,
exactly.
but the principle applies, okay? uh, you cannot think in a way that just assumes that all the tiles are randomly in the wall, okay? There's so much depth to that, and this is also why you shouldn't think in
Definitely.
like only in probabilities in mahjong, at least for me. Okay, anyways, so we can get back to our tile efficiency thing, and we can now get into the juicy stuff. So we already established that isolated tiles are the most useless tiles, right? But which isolated tiles among them so like even like in the components we can establish like an order, right? Like which of these isolated tiles is the worst, and that's what we're gonna do. Does that make sense? So like
I'm not
so for example,
following.
okay, let me just give an example, okay, of what we're gonna do. uh, let's say you have a vest in your hand, okay, a 9 in
Yeah.
your hand, a 4 in your hand, and a 1 in your hand, okay? This is from Manzu, this is Pinzu, and this is Sozu, okay? These are all
Mm.
isolated tiles, okay? Hold up, let's just make this a 2, okay? Let's make this a 2 to make it a better example. These are all isolated tiles. However, even among these, there is one tile which is the most useless. Remember that we want to cut. Yeah, it's basically like a tier list editor. uh, there is the most useless tile even among these four that we will want to cut, right? Because remember, in tile efficiency, we always want to cut the worst tile, the most useless one. So even in these four, there will be one which is the most useless and one which is the most useful.
Yeah,
Okay?
numbers are more than likely waiting for more than one type of tile. So basically, for example, the 9 is waiting for at least 7 tiles to become a joint,
Yeah,
while the
I like
west
it.
can only become a joint by waiting a west.
Yeah, so that's what we're establishing here. Basically, a tier list of the basically a tier list of the tiles. Okay, which of the isolated tiles is the most useless and which is the most useful, basically. Well, you already said it. An honor tile that is not a Yaku
Only
tile is
basically
going to be
honor
the
tiles.
most useless. Okay, that
Hmm.
makes sense to you because it only
So,
waits on 3 tiles. Yeah.
mhm.
Anyways, what's more useful than an honor is a 1 or a 9. Why is that? Because first of all, it waits on it waits on actually. Can you tell me how many tiles does a 1 and a 9 wait upon to make a joint?
Uh,
It's a pretty good exercise
7.
for you. It's a pretty good exercise for you. It's not 7.
Well, what do you mean it's not 7?
No,
To
it's
make
not
a
7.
joint.
Yeah.
I
You
thought 1 1 and 1 2 would have been a joint, right?
yeah, okay, so think about this. A 1, you're an isolated 1. You can draw
Yeah,
the 1 and then you will have a pair of the 1. Okay? That's a joint.
exactly. So 3 1.
Yeah. So you can draw a 2 to get a 1 2.
Oh
You
wait,
can
and
draw
you
a
can also do a
3 to
three
get a
because
1 3.
a 1 3 is yeah,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
is, yeah, 11 tiles.
Yeah, 11 tiles. Yeah. And honor tile which give Yaku is generally has Yaku, right? Is generally more useful than the 1/9. Do you understand why? It's because it has Yaku, so you can call. So calling is generally faster than just drawing tiles, right? Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you utilize calls, it basically it's like a hack, you know. Anyways, then the 2 and the 8 come in, and then it's like 3 to 7, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
there's one type of isolated tile which is even more useful than a 3 to 7. I'm guessing you're not going to guess it, but if someone in chat wants to take a guess, there's one thing which is more useful than even a 3 to 7 middle tile. What's the shape? You can also have a crack at it, but since you're a beginner, I don't expect you to get the answer.
Hmm. It's not. It's not 5.
No, it's not 5.
uh,
5 comes in a 3 to 7, right? Oh, Dora.
yeah, yeah.
The Dora tile is
Dora.
also a
There,
very
there
good
were
guess.
points.
No, Dora tile is. We
I
are
was thinking
also hold up.
5 because
We are
it's the
also
tiles.
not considering points here. Okay, we are only
Okay.
considering speed. We want to be fast, fast, fast. There's a thing faster than a normal middle tile. I'm gonna tell you the answer now. Not considering points. I should mention that as well. The thing is a 3 4 4 5 or a 3 4 5 6. So basically this type of a middle tile, okay, the 6 in the 3 4 5 6 or a 4 in the 3 4 4 5 is faster than a 3 to 7. Okay, the reason is because if you draw a 2 here, it becomes a very good shape, 2 3 4 4 5. Or
Yeah.
if you draw a 2 here, it can become 2 3 4 5 6 and stuff like that. Okay, this is the type of shape that's better than a naga as isolated. Yeah, they count as isolated tiles. The 4 here is the basically it counts as an isolated tile, right? 3 4 5 plus an isolated 4, or a 3 4 5 pen is isolated 6.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so that's the order of isolated tiles. In this case, now we can consider like the aka tiles, okay? Because there's aka, the 4 and the 6 have more value than 3, 5, and the 7. This is in the middle part, in the 3 to 7 part. And the reason is because 4 and 6 can make
Akam is red, right?
Janmin with aka. Yeah. Aka means red, yeah.
Okay.
That's not the word I use isolated for, but it is isolated, right? This is it's 3 4 5. Anyways, uh, basically this is the only order of isolated tiles that's there. You know, there's not much more to it. We've basically covered every single possible isolated tile that you can have, right?
That for a
Do you want
7.
like literally this covers every single isolated tile, right? Or do you want to name a tile that's not in this? I use block theory to count 3 4 as a 3 4 plus 4 5. Okay, I should mention this rule by the way for now. This is something that you are also, if you go to YouTube and stuff, you're going to hear a lot of this stuff which is called block theory, okay? What block theory basically says is to win you need 5 blocks, which is basically what I told you, 4 groups and one, okay? 5 blocks,
Mm-hmm.
and for which we it's the block is basically just a general term for a group or a pair, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, okay, when considering what's a block and what's not a block, as well as when considering what's an isolated tile and what's a joint, okay, there are a few rules to consider that. First things first, we don't how do I say it? We don't cut an already made group, okay? So for example, in a 3 4 4 5, or for an example of this is better is 1 3 4 4 5 6, okay? We are not going to read this as a 3 4 as a sorry 3 4 5 plus an isolated 6. Okay, we're only going to read this as 1 3 plus 4 5 6.
456.
Yeah, so we don't cut up already made groups when counting the blocks. Another rule is if we only have one pair, okay, if we only have one pair, uh, then we generally then we generally count it and count it as only as the pair. Okay, then it's the pair basically. But what I mean by that is, so for example, if you have 3357, okay, some people what they'll do is view it as a 335 plus an isolated 7 tile, or a 357 plus an isolated 3 tile. You don't do that. Okay, this is a question mark play. You only, the only valid thing here, the only valid read of this is 3 3 plus a 5 7.
And 57. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you have more than one pair, then you're free to interpret it as anyway. But like, if you only have one pair, then you need to count it as the pair, because the pair is not flexible, right? You need one pair to win.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's basically the only thing I wanted to mention about the block theory. The block theory is basically the same thing that we've been talking about. It's just four groups plus one pair. I just like to think it more in terms of groups and a pair, because there are two separate things. But you can think in terms of blocks as well. Anyways, we done isolated tiles. Then we can also now rank, basically make a tier list of joints. Okay. Do you remember what joints were? Do I need to scroll up? Here's the three joints. Okay.
Those, yeah, the joints
There's
for the
how many joints are there, by the way?
okay,
There's
real main canchen,
uh-huh.
pension, yes.
No, there are four joints. Never say a kanchan. It's always either an outer kanchan or an inner kanchan. You never want to say just a
Okay,
kanchan.
yeah, yeah, that actually is really different, yeah.
Yeah, they're actually really different, because one has the cool sunglasses on and the other doesn't. Okay?
Okay, inner canchen,
And
yeah.
this
Canchen and the
this
canchen, yeah.
should be hopefully pretty obvious to you. Okay, this order of rankings. We prefer to cut a penchan, an outer kanchan, then an inner
And outer,
kanchan,
inner, and the unman,
and
yeah.
we will always keep a runman. Almost always keep a runman. Okay. Again, we're not considering score in this part of about tile efficiency. Once you understand efficiency, only then can you consider score. Okay. First, you need to learn how to win fast. If you can just win faster
Yeah.
than everyone else, you'll probably win more games. Okay. Like you, if like theoretically, if you can just win faster than everyone else, you don't even need to learn how to fold, right? Because you'll just win faster. It's
Mm-hmm.
the only thing is not practical, but that's the way we think. Anyways, so the joints have been done. Now a small thing here. Okay, normally, isolated tile. Let me give it a bit of a space here. Okay, normally isolated tile is less than a joint. We already noticed that, because a joint only needs like one type of tile to make a group, but an isolated tile is first going to need to become a joint, and then it will need to become a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
uh but a penchan is so bad, okay, is so bad that we can sometimes compare a middle tile to a penchan. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now
So maybe a
here's
1-2 can be worse than like a
five. Now,
4.
a typical example of this is a 5 8 9 in the same suit. So you have 5 8 9 man. You can
Okay.
often just cut the 8 9, because the 7 will be used with the 5 anyways.
Mm-hmm. 5 6 7. So the 7 8 9 is pretty useless. Okay.
7 8 9 is not useless. It's just like the
No,
5 is gonna
not
wait on
useless.
so
Yeah.
many more tiles. Okay, the 7 is the
Yeah.
only tile the 8 9 waits on. The 5 can wait on a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and a
Mm-hmm.
7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
But if we were to already have a 7, then we keep the 7 8 9
I mean, of
because
course, because the 7 8 9 is a
it's
group, not a joint. Then
a group. Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
Anyways, here's a question that I want to test you. I want to ask you to sort of test your game sense. Okay.
Okay.
Um, not to test your game sense because you haven't like played a lot of games, but just to test the way you're thinking. Okay, what's better, Panchan? So basically, I'll use a 1-2 Manzu as an example, or an isolated uh, 2-8. Basically, for in our example, we'll keep a 2 pin. Okay, so what do you want to keep?
What's better? I want to puncher or isolated to 8.
2 pin.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm. Isolated to 8 is pretty useless. I think the pension the 1-2 pension is better
Okay.
because it's a 2-8. If it wasn't a 2-8, maybe I prefer it.
Okay. Now, okay, I want you to listen very carefully, okay? This is a very fundamental concept that we're going to use a lot in this game. It's basically betting, okay? Now, we all already know Mahjong is a betting game, okay? It's a gambling game. I'm not talking about that sort of betting. A 1-2 man Panchan waits on 4 tiles, okay,
Yeah.
to become a group, okay? A 2 pin, although it waits on 1 as well as a 3, okay, but the 1 is
If you
useless.
get
If you get the 1, it will only become 1-2, which you already
yeah,
have,
but if you
okay.
get a
It
3,
waits on
yeah.
4 tiles to become a joint, uh, a good joint basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I
Because
wait on
y-
4 tiles to become a joint when I can wait on 4 tiles to become a group?
um, I
That
mean, if your the rest of your hand is already like built, you
mm-hmm.
would prefer to get the to become a good joint because then it's easier to complete your hand.
No,
Now you have 8.
no, we disagree
I mean,
because
not less.
it's simply the same
I
amount of
mean, like
tiles. Okay, okay.
suppose we get to tempai with
Well, okay.
like
If no,
if
no,
we are already
here's
at
what I
tempai,
want
for
you to
example.
answer. No, okay. If with the 3 pin we already get to 10 pi, wouldn't with the 3 man we already have won?
Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Okay. So again, why would I wait on 4 tiles to 10 pi when I can bet on 4 tiles to win? It's 4 tiles either
Mm-hmm.
way, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's true.
yeah, that's true. And that's why generally a penchan is only considered uh, less than a middle tile because a middle tile it weighs on 8 tiles. Okay, so 8 tiles is
Yeah.
it's literally double to become a good joint. So that's why you can compare it. But a penchan is preferable to a 2 and 8. Okay, and that's just a small thing here, and that's the basic order of joints. So you should already kind of know what's coming next. Do you want to guess?
No.
Okay, you don't want to guess. That's fine as well. What's coming next is basically push fold, Riichi theory, defense theory, and push fold because we covered the most basic tile efficiency there is. Okay,
Okay.
if you
Yeah,
can
what's
execute
legit?
Riichi theory is whether you want to reach or not. So you get to 10 pi, and do you want to reach or do you not want to reach? That's Riichi theory. It's as simple as that.
Wait, some okay. Yeah, I have no idea when not to reach it actually.
Oh yeah,
Like zero idea.
yeah. That's it's going to be pretty easy. I'm also not teaching you like all the like complicated stuff. This is the basics. By the way, if you can execute upon this stuff, right? Isolated tile and this order of joints and this order of isolated tiles. Also considering this fact, let me just copy paste it here. If you can literally, okay, so the way you're going to do is you're going to look at hand, okay, and you're going to divide it into the 6 components that we talked about, okay, and then you're going to
Mm-hmm.
decide what to cut, okay, because there's only like 4 cuts you can make. There's only 4 types of cuts you can make. You can again look at any hand and any cut that anyone has ever made, and it will only be one of these four. You can cut an isolated tile. You can
Mm-hmm.
cut a tile from a complex joint. So, for example, 2 from 2 to 3. Okay. You can cut a joint entirely. Example 3 4 from 3 4 basically. And fourth is you can cut a group, right? Well, technically these are
Okay.
the only things you,
Why would we cut it?
yeah, we are never going to,
Why
but
would?
I'm saying that like these are the only four possible cuts. Okay, we're obviously we're
Yeah,
not going
yeah.
to cut the group, but I just want you to like, so for example, if I only mentioned one and two, and then some in some game you cut a joint, and then you came to me, oh wait, look, I didn't cut an isolated tile and didn't cut a complex joint tile, right.
Mm.
These are the possible cuts. Okay, so basically, this is how we make decisions, and if you can execute on this, and where is it? This perfectly, you're already going to be a lot better. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Um. Of
Yeah. Yeah.
of course, it's gonna take some practice, and
Mm-hmm.
wait, hold up. Uh, Now we can we've basically established the basics of tile efficiency for you. We can now move on to Riichi theory. Okay, Riichi theory is going to be really really easy for you. Okay, I'm going to make it Riichi. In general, always Riichi. All right.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing is I want you to remember this. Okay, in the long run, okay, you lose more points by uh, not Riichi when you should have, then you will lose by Riichi when you shouldn't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
O
ba-
sea, always Richie.
in general, always Riichi. I'm just on. I'm going to give you a few rules. Okay, these are not the all rules, but only going to give you a few rules when you should not Riichi. Okay, a very simple. Okay, now we can cut when not to Riichi. It's. Do you want to take a guess, by the way, when you should not Riichi?
Uh, Maybe when you can't draw the tile that would make you win.
That's a very
I don't know
good.
if it's possible to call
Yeah, it's
if
possible. So, for example, you reach tempai too late, and by the time, so for example, all four of the tiles have been cut. Okay, it's possible
yeah.
when you have very low amount of tiles. Okay. Well, the rule is basically the rule that I'm going to give you is basically two or less. Okay. So, for example, if you're waiting on two tiles or less, you don't reach it. It's generally going to deal in more than actually win you games. The second thing is when first place in South 4, right? South 4 is the last hand. You're already in first place. You don't need to like win more, right? You don't reach if you're a coward. Yeah. Yeah. You also don't reach if you're a coward, by the way. That's also true technically. But if you're already in first place, oh yeah.
Wait, why did not?
Also, you have Yaku. Also, you have some other Yaku. Okay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I should have that should have been mentioned by me. But yeah, if you have any other Yaku, even if you have a simple like 1000 all simples, right? If you're already first place, you
Yeah,
don't
there's
want to
no
reach
point
it.
in this.
No point in reaching then.
No.
You will win.
You're already in Tempai, so
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. No, you will always be in Tempai when it will come time
Yeah.
to reach it. Okay. Anyways, the third situation when I don't want you to reach it is when two or more people are already attacking, because then in general it's two or more people are, oh no, it's actually we can leave that thing in a push fold. The third and final situation when I don't want you to reach it is when you already have a very high scoring hand. Okay. uh, but the criteria is mangan plus. Okay, now there are some tiles, sometimes when you can do a mangan richi, but for a beginner, if you already have a mangan tempa, you should just stay dama. Mangan is basically an 8,000 point hand, if you didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
I looked it up the other day. People
nice.
kept saying manga, and I was so confused.
Yeah, yeah, no, you can just ask me, but yeah, it's basically if you're, more like if you have a higher scoring hand than that, and of course, it goes without saying, and you have some Yaku, okay? If you don't have Yaku, Riichi. Riichi gives you Yaku. That is a win
Mm-hmm.
condition in this game. You need to have Yaku, okay? And yeah, basically, I think these are pretty good terms, not to Riichi. Yeah. And final thing is when you're defending, which we'll cover next in the push fold section, okay?
Okay. Well, you don't want to call Richie when you already have a high scoring hand because if you call Richie, people are more likely to fold.
That's one reason. Another reason is okay. So let me tell you how scoring works in mahjong. You should already know this, but when from one hand, two hand, three hand, four hand, okay, the score basically doubles up to this point, okay, and four and
Yeah.
five hand is basically the same, okay, whatever. Let me just erase this, okay. But after five, when you go from five to six, seven, which is basically a han iman, it doesn't double. Okay, the additional han is not as efficient. Okay, you get plus one or slash two han, but so for example, here you go from 1,000 to 2,000. Okay, here you go from 2,000 to around 4,000. And you go from around 4,000 to around 8,000 on these hands, but you go from 8 to 12. It's not as
Yeah.
efficient. It's not double, okay? It's only like two thirds, okay? It's like a two thirds increase. Four and is a good rule. Five on, six on, yeah, something like that. So and then from seven to eight, nine, 10, you only go to like 16,000, right? So it doesn't increase as much in the later parts. So that's why you basically like the opponents are more likely to fold, and you already have like a very high scoring hand, and it's not more efficient, and the additional hand is not as efficient. Okay.
Okay.
This is Riichi theory. Of course, if you don't want to be called a coward, so you should always reach your Yakumans. If you have a Yakuman, although it will be pretty easy to read by other people, so I don't recommend doing that. But certain people will call you a coward, so if you care about that sort of stuff. Anyways, we can move on to defense theory and basic push rule. Okay, what do you want to cover first? How to fold or when to fold? Because the basic push fold section covers when to fold, and the defense theory section covers
Mm-hmm.
how to fold.
Mm, when seems faster, I think.
Okay, yeah, when is actually
So let's
faster.
start with when.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to continue in this note. Actually, let me just make a new note for you. Why not? Uh, when to fold. Okay. Now it's complicated, man. Okay. That's the first thing that I want you to know. Okay. So, for example, a player like me, okay, I will look at the opponent's discards and I'll judge their speed, and I'll also look at my hand and I'll judge my speed, and I can also we can also read the wall somewhat, like what tiles are left in the wall by memorizing how many tiles are out, and then you can also have a sort of an idea about the score that you and your opponents can possibly have. And so like you can do all that sort of stuff, but at the beginning you need to focus on learning tile efficiency. So right now I'm going to give you a simple framework rather than like actually like the full theory of when to fold, okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it's like saying first it's like first always push mid and then go to objective.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obvious fault reasons, basically.
Yeah, it's like if you if you follow this basic framework, you're not really going to go wrong, but sometimes you do want to break these rules as well if you have some other information from like this card reading or like hand reading. Okay.
Okay.
So when to fold? Okay, hold up. Well, first thing is when someone reaches or calls 2/3 times. Okay, that's when folding should even enter your mind. Okay, by the way, by default, always push. Okay, because
Mhm.
once again, the fundamental rule of this game is that attack is the best defense. Even when wanting to fold, you want to win. So by default, you always want to push. Okay, the first time that folding should enter your mind is if someone calls a Riichi or they call 2 or 3 times. Okay, because that's when you know. Well, by Riichi, you already know that they're in Tempai. But if someone calls 2 or 3 times, then you also know that okay, they're probably in Tempai, right? Because they already
Mhm.
called.
Yeah.
Um, but you are still not going to fold, by the way, because you still want to win. If you're close to winning, you should still push. Okay, then what you're going to do, then look at your hand. Okay, then you're going to look at your hand. Okay, the first
Okay.
thing you look at is what's your shanten. Okay, what's your shanten. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
if it's 2 or lower or higher, sorry, so 2 or more, fold, right?
We fold.
Yeah,
Fold immediately. Okay.
immediately, exactly, immediately. Another thing is how there's an exception to this rule. Okay, exception. Can you guess the exception?
Hmm.
I mean, it's not like really a rule, it's just what I'm going to give you. So you probably can't guess because it's an arbitrary rule I made up for you like 3 days ago, right? So, anyways,
I can't get.
yeah,
Tell
when
me.
you have no safe tiles. Because if you don't have any safe tiles, which we will identify in the how to fold section, so don't worry about that. But
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but if you have no safe tiles, then it's just better to push, right? Like you can't fold
Mhm.
anyways because you have no safe tiles, so just push. It's that simple.
If you're going to be in danger anyway, might as well try to win. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. Who knows? You might even win first. Okay. Another thing. Now, even if it's one, you're still not going to one or your tenpai. Okay. Well, if you're tenpai, you should already have reached it. By the way, if you're tenpai, you should already have reached it. Okay. So you should have already reached it. So
Mhm.
we are not considering the tenpai section because if you're tenpai and not Riichi, well, that will mean you're in one of these three situations. Okay, one
Yeah.
of these three situations,
You,
and in that
you have to
case,
go.
you and in these, if you're not Riichi, and you're in these three cases, it's okay to fold. Okay, and you get to the fourth rule of not Riichi if you're one Shanten, and then you get to tenpai somehow. Okay. Well, then you also need to look at the score. Okay, basically, well, if you have like a 1,000 hand, then you don't really want to push it into like into the opponent, right? Into a Riichi because the Riichi is usually expensive than a 1,000
Mhm.
hand. Uh, Now I'm sure you're not really familiar with scoring, so the way we're going to do is if
Barely.
including Riichi. So we are going to count that you can Riichi. You have 3 Han. You do know what Han is, right? So basically, one Yaku is one
Yeah.
Han and Riichi is one Han too. Okay. Then you can push, then push, otherwise fold. And push, otherwise just fold. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Minimum
it.
three hand. Push.
Three Han,
Okay.
and in the 3 Han, you can include the Riichi that you will make if you get Tenpai.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 Han, then you get to Tenpai and then you Riichi. So yeah, then you can push. So I think this is a pretty good framework for someone trying to learn because what you can do basically is just make this like your default decision making process, and then you can focus on what's actually important, and that is I want you to answer that,
Hmm.
and that is what's actually
Yeah, yeah.
important.
I mean, repeat the question because I think I'm going to answer tile efficiency, but I'm not sure if that's what I
Yeah,
want to
it's
answer
tile
because this
efficiency. It's
doesn't.
tile efficiency.
Okay.
Tile efficiency is the only important thing here. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste too much of your mental stack on tile efficiency, right? I mean, sorry, you don't want to waste too much of your mental stack on stuff other than tile efficiency. You want to maximize
Yeah.
brain power into tile efficiency. Anyway, so we have covered when to
But
fold.
okay, but also
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
tile efficiency is the kind of thing that comes more naturally. I
No, it
mean,
doesn't
when
come
you
more
fold
naturally.
and all
You
that.
can learn it. I learned it. I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
tell you,
but
by the way.
I feel like the
Hmm.
kind of thing it feels like building blocks. You know what I mean? Like when you are
I have never
thinking about
built
tile
blocks, by the way.
efficiency, it's because it fits your hand when you're building it. I don't know
Hmm.
if I'm making sense with this.
No, no, go
The
ahead.
tiles fit with each other. They fit with each other.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
have to. Yeah,
so
yeah, pretty
you
much.
can you develop a sense.
Hmm.
It becomes almost mechanical. Like
Yeah, by the
it
way,
becomes ingrained in the way
yeah.
you
So,
see
for
it.
example, I have done, like, I can attest to this. I have done almost 600 tile efficiency problems, like from a problem book. Actually, two problem books. Both of them had like 300 of them, as well as I've studied tile efficiency for a lot, and I still don't even consider myself like the most efficient player, by the way. Uh,
Yeah, it's basically math.
yeah, it's very
So
difficult,
and while
but there is theory to it. Now, what I've taught you is just the basics. Once you master it, and well, then you can just message me. Then I can even send you the book that I used to learn. But I use like a lot of books, so I can even simplify it by just teaching you like in a straightforward way, so you don't have to read multiple books. But
yeah
but first you need to learn this. There's lots that goes into tile efficiency, by the way. So however, it's learnable. It's a skill. It's like last sitting. Okay, sure, like you need to
yeah
learn.
exactly.
Yeah, this thing needs to
It,
become autopilot. So
it's it's applied theory. That's what it is.
what is
That
it?
that's the term I was. It's applied theory.
Yeah, it is applied theory. Yeah, pretty much you're correct with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And what
uh
the difference I was going to explain was like, for example, when you decide when to fold, you have
mm,
to make the conscious decision.
yeah.
It's not necessarily something that you always will do.
well
Sometimes maybe,
well, here's the thing. In the beginning, you're also going to consciously think about efficient cuts, right?
yeah, yeah, of course. And in the beginning,
Now,
yeah, of
but
course.
here's the thing, right? So, for example, how do I play the game? Or I can even attest to this. Pretty much all high-level players, when they're playing, I don't even look at my hand. I look at my hand once and then like never again. I'm only looking at the opponents and their discards and memorizing like which one
Hmm.
are from like inside their hand and what they're cutting. And the reason why can I do that is because the tile efficiency like in my brain is like muscle memory. I don't need to think for like
Yeah.
a single second about it. Like I draw a tile and then I just cut a tile. If you asked me after the game why did I cut a certain tile, I can explain to you in a lot of depth why did I cut that single tile for like 18 turns in a row. But in the game, I don't need to think about that right now.
Hmm.
That's the sort of
That
level that you need to aim, you know.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
only way you're getting there, and when you can do that, by the way, that's kind of when the actual game starts. Because this is kind of like, you know, when the like I told you about that thing, right? Like in League of Legends, once you reach masters, then that's when the game changes, sort of. It's not that the game changes, it's just the players become better, right? And
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Once you reach in lobbies where everyone is efficient, you can then actually play the real game of mahjong. You can then actually read your opponents. You can do things like bluffing, because and it
Hmm.
works because they know efficiency. If you do this against a fucking silver like player, he doesn't even know like left from right. It's not gonna work against him. And you can't read their discards as well because well they're not cutting efficiently. You know, what's the use of like
Yeah, yeah.
trying to use discard reading techniques against a player who's like bronze, you know?
Inefficient discards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, someone in the chat said you can cut tiles in your sleep. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So for if you wake me up from sleep like 12 p.m. middle of the night and you give me a problem,
Oh
instantly
no.
I'll answer it like that. But the only reason I can do that is because so for example, I've played this game for about like 2.5 years, like when I entered university is when I started this. Then I took a 1 year break, but even in that 1 year break I was still doing like tile efficiency problems from time to time. I wasn't playing the game,
Mhm.
but I was still doing the tile efficiency problems. The best part about Hi Elo is you can Sashikomi and assist your known rival to Ryu. So what he mentioned right now is basically, let's say you're in first place, very high position, and someone in second,
Yeah.
third, or fourth are fighting each other, and you read that the person in third place has a cheap hand, okay, and you read his weight, and then you deal into him purposefully, so he gets second, but you still remain first.
Okay. Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's a big brain move. Another common move that I learned, and it used to be very common. I don't do this anymore, but when I first got to J room, I learned this move, which is the Honitsu bluff. Okay, do you know what the Honitsu is? This is a very common move that I'm a master of. A Honitsu is basically
Honitsu.
a Yaku that is made of only one suit plus honor tiles. Okay, that's the
Hmm.
Yaku. Okay, so when I had a very bad hand, I would call tiles from one suit and keep like safe honor tiles in my hand to bluff that I have a Honitsu. I'm a master of the Honitsu bluff. I don't do it anymore, but I used to do this like almost every single game. But I don't, yeah, but like as you get into better players, then they can even detect this stuff. So yeah, you can even include emoting. By the way, last game I just nice. Anyways, hold up. So this is the basics of push fold for you. Now I'm going to teach you how to fold. Okay,
Yeah.
folding, how to, and the sooner we get done with this is better because then we can get to the juicy part, which is really important when trying to learn this game. And there's also a big thing that I wanted to mention because Mahjong, unlike League, is a game which has a few problems when trying to learn it. I guess those problems apply to all games, so even League, but Mahjong has more of those. Anyways, first let's learn how to fold, okay? Well, identify safe tiles, okay? Do you know what safe tiles are?
Okay. Suppose
Yeah, I want you to
someone
tell
is
me.
enriching and that's why I'm folding,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I would do is look at what they discarded.
Exactly. Good. Because they can't win on those tiles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So 100% safe tile, okay? Okay, there's like degrees to safe tiles, but 100% safe tile is okay, tiles they have cut, right? Pretty much. Another thing is, well, okay, if they reach you already, okay, and some opponent, like some other opponent, okay, cuts a tile and he doesn't win on it, and they don't
We can
win on
also
it.
use those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then we can also cut it.
These have names, right?
Hmm?
All these, all these kinds of these of safe tiles. They each have names, right? I think.
Uh, Not really, no. I think what you're referring to is called suji. Is that what you're referring to? Did that you
Yeah.
heard
That.
that word?
That.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's a pretty buzzword. Okay, but that's not a safe tile, by the way. That's a somewhat safe tile, but it's not 100% safe tile. These tiles that either they have cut or like after they Riichi, someone cuts and they don't win on it. These are 100% safe tiles. Yeah, I
Okay.
think he also, yeah, I explained to you Furten last time, right? I explained to him Furten
Yeah.
rules last time uh, uh,
I haven't
when
fallen
we
for
learned the
it
rules.
once.
Yeah.
Ex-
So,
Wait, one time it happened, but it wasn't Richie, so it it was okay.
Was it though? Was it though?
I
I'm,
won by sumo, so it was okay.
yeah, was it though? I mean, okay. There are, by the way, you learn soon as you play, there are exceptions, but there are times when being in Furitan Riichi is unironically better than like being in a non-Furitan Riichi.
Oh, why?
But of course, like, exceptional situations arise in this game for every single things. Anyways,
Okay.
there then we can look at, so first things is we always got safe tiles, okay? Then what we can do is
Yeah.
identify somewhat safe tiles, okay? What do I mean by somewhat safe tiles? Tiles that they are unlikely to veto. Oh, wait a second. There's another type of tile that is 100% safe. Do you want to take a guess at it? Or even anybody in chat?
Mm,
There's another type of tile that is 100% safe. So they have not cut this, and someone has not. Um, Kabe, yeah, that's right. Something with the Kabe. Anyways, do you want to take a guess first?
mm. And it doesn't have anything to do with what other players have got.
Uh, well, it does have something to do with what other players have got, but like it doesn't directly have something to do with what other players have got. Let's say it like that.
No, I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. Um, what we mean by here is, for example, I'm gonna teach you this by example, okay? You can see all of, okay, no. Let me first of all identify the tile, okay? You can logically deduce that they can't be waiting on this tile, okay? A tile that you
Yeah.
can logically deduce they can't be waiting on is going to be 100% safe. What I mean by that is an example. You can see all four of all four tiles, okay, of uh 2 pin, let's say, okay, and you can see three all uh you can see basically 3 tiles of 1 pin, and you have
Mhm.
another 1 pin in your hand. Well,
Ah, okay, they can't possibly do anything with that one
yeah,
pin, not
they
even a pair.
literally can't do anything with it. Another example is like, you can see 3 of an honor tiles, and you have the
Yeah,
fourth one, right? So
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Basically, these are the only safe tiles, and then we'll move on to the somewhat safe tiles. Somewhat safe
Yeah,
tiles.
I actually didn't think about it, but that was like the first kind of safe discard I noticed.
Yeah, it has to be safe.
There's three red dragons discarded, discard
Mm,
the red dragon. That's
yeah, because they literally
yeah.
can't wait on it. You can deduce it, right?
Mhm.
Somewhat safe tiles
Yeah.
are basically they should be safe, but they can have like weird weights on it. The first of this is Suji. So Suji basically means they can't have when you're doing a Suji cut. What you are basically doing is you're saying that they can't that no they can't they are not sorry, they are waiting on a ramen, okay? That is basically what you're saying when you cut a Suji. What I mean is, let's say they have a 2-3 in their hand, okay? What tiles are they waiting
Yeah.
upon? They wait on 1 and the
One and
4.
four.
Now, if
Mhm.
someone has already cut the 4, for example, so the 2-3 is their weight, and someone cut the 4, but you don't have any 4 in your hand, but you have 1 in your hand, okay? You don't have 4. Well, if they are waiting on a Ranmain, they can't have the 1, right? Because if they were waiting on the 1, they would win on the
They
4.
didn't. Yeah, they didn't call on the four. Yeah.
Well, why
Oh
is it?
fuck!
Oh my god, did you just fall off?
My knee. I hit my knee.
Holy fuck.
Oh, like,
Classic. Mahjong makes people fall. You heard it here first.
ah,
Oh
wait,
no.
I'm fine.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, why is it
I'm
only
okay.
somewhat safe though? It's because, well, they can still have like a pair weight on it, right? One and some other pair weight. They can still have like a
Yeah,
what's called a tanki weight. Basically, they have like all four groups and they're waiting on the one to make a pair, right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's why it's not
Time keeper.
100% safe, but it's kind of safe, right? So when you cut
Mm-hmm.
Suji, you're basically betting that they are waiting on the Janmen. Someone says Janmen is the only shape that exists in the game. That is not true. Simply not true. We already learned like there's many other shapes. For example, an outer kanchan, the cooler outer kanchan, and the penchon. Okay. Suji is somewhat safe tile. Then the other safe tile is what we call kabe. Kabe is basically a Japanese word for wall. Okay. What I mean by that
Yeah.
is if you can see all four of some tile, okay, then the tile next to it becomes somewhat safe.
I fish. Yeah.
Why is that? So, for example, this is once again when you're doing a wall discard, you're betting that they're waiting on a random. For example, if you can see all of the fours, then well they can't have a 4-5, right? So the three becomes
Mm-hmm.
somewhat safer, right? Of
Yeah.
course, they can still have a 1-2 weight, or they can have a 3 weight on the pair, the tanki weight that we called about. That's why I don't count
But
Suji, Professor
it's
just.
safer anyways.
No, but
Yeah.
counting Suji is a very reliable way to do it, to increase your, like, to reduce your chances of dealing in, by the way. So, Eredito is asking if counting Suji is good. So, like, what I do is when someone declares Riichi and I decide I want to fold, right? What I'll do is I'll just start counting how many of these are there, right? Because there's only like 18 of these, right? There's 1 4, there's 2 5, there's 3 6, and there's 4 7, 5 8, and 6 9, and all of these in all three suits, okay? You can actually just count because there's only 18 of these. You can count like how many are left, right? And then you can deduce, okay, one in 11 are left, or one in 12 are left, or something like that. Uh, but you can
Mm.
uh, basically. I don't want you to do this, by the way. There's that gonna come later.
Okay.
First, you only need to focus on tile efficiency. That's right. Go back to the basics. Efficiency first. And these are basically the only somewhat safe tiles. Another somewhat safe tiles are if you can't rely on anything, neither of these, you can cut owner tiles, okay? Because they're less likely to be weighted upon because they can only wait on they can only have like a pair weight on the owner tile, right? And well,
Mm-hmm.
usually people want to wait on Janmin tiles. The reason Suji works is because well, good player don't reach you on bad weights. That's the thing, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
well, you can trap this, by the way, too. You can make a trap intentionally. You're waiting on us, like,
Yeah.
so you cut a 5 and you're
Oh
intentionally
no,
waiting
good
on the
players
8.
don't reach the bad ways. Yeah.
Yeah, oh no,
Actually
please
reaches in
don't
a
cut
bad
the
way.
8. Yeah. But yeah, the reason Suji works is because people generally don't wait on that. And that's also the reason if you have nothing else to rely on, cut honor tiles, okay? And then you can cut the terminals. Terminals are basically 1 and 9s, okay? And these are the somewhat
Yeah.
safe tiles. And of course, after the terminals, if again you have nothing else, then you're going to cut the 2 and 8, then the 3 and 7, then the, like, you get it right, 4 and 6, and finally
Yeah.
you cut the 5. Uh,
8, 3, 7, 4, 6, 5. Okay.
yeah, but the 2 and
Yeah.
8 is not going to be counted in our somewhat safe tile, okay? Well, these are the safe tiles
Okay.
basically. So this is so the reason this is important is for this rule, right? If you can identify your no safe tiles or somewhat safe tiles, okay? If you have Suji, then that will also be okay to fold, or somewhat safe tiles, push, right? So in this
Mm-hmm.
rule, it's important for this rule because if you need to know if you don't have safe slides, you should push, right? Anyways, this is basically the
Yeah,
how
of
to
course.
of folding. This is pretty basic. You can read their discards. I mean, yeah, you can read their discards by the way to identify more of like what tiles they can wait on, but that's going to be too complicated for you now. So we're just going to utilize this framework of folding. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And what basically this folding framework and this Riichi framework does for you is you can learn these frameworks in like 5 or 6 games, right? It will become sort of automatic, and then you can focus on what's really important. Okay. And
Mm.
always remember attack
Yeah,
is the best defense. You want to win and you want to win fast. Okay. Uh,
of
Final
course.
thing I want to mention before we move on to the biases section that I had for you is calling. You are not going to call a single hand unless it's okay. Not call uh, okay unless you get a Yaku owner pair in your hand. So if you start with a pair, then you can call, or it's confirmed Tanyao. All right.
I was actually following this exact. I just I
Yeah,
felt
yeah,
it inside me.
yeah.
I
It's
have two dragons. I start calling. I
yeah.
have all numbers between 2 and 8. I start calling.
Oh, you can also call
Yeah.
on. Wait, hold up. You can call on Tumoyaku on confirmed. By the way, this has to be confirmed. What I mean
Yeah.
by
Full flash
confirmed
and half
is
flash.
you can't have a 2-3 and then call because you can draw a 1 and then you will be furitin. Okay? It needs to be confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay? Uh, Another thing that you can call is if you have a confirmed Sanchoku or a confirmed Toy Toy. If you don't have any of these Yaku, okay, I don't want you to call ever. Sanchoku is the 345, 345,
Okay.
345 Yaku.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Toy Toy is the all pairs Yaku, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to call it. I don't want you to call unless you have anything else, okay? Literally play with calls off, and if you get one of
Actually,
these, then you turn them off, turn them on.
the
Mm-hmm.
the first time I started like calling frantically was last week, like on Thursday maybe. I spent the whole night trying to force all
Mm-hmm.
triplets a lot.
Yeah, you don't force it. If it's what I mean by here is by confirmed here is if it's already like you draw the tiles. If it's already
Yeah,
there, if it's not already there, simply turn the calls off and never turn them back on. Okay?
yeah. I have like I think 3 pairs, and I started calling like a madman. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
don't think that
shouldn't.
was.
You shouldn't. Okay? Um,
It didn't work definitely.
of course.
Let me tell you, it did not work. That was
By the
a
by the way,
losing
the
then.
reason it didn't work is because you weren't efficient with your coding probably. Like once you master the basics of tile efficiency, the next thing comes is calling efficiency, and the thing after that is Yako efficiency. So basically, tile efficiency is just making a tempai hand as fast as possible. Okay, calling efficiency is the
Hmm.
same thing but taking calls into account, and Yaku efficiency is basically the same thing, but also like taking different Yakus into account, right?
Okay.
But in order to learn how to do efficient calls, you need to know what's an efficient hand first. That makes sense.
Hmm.
So that's why you're not going to
Yeah.
call first, okay? And yeah, the same thing with the Yaku thing. So first, you need to know how to when it's okay to call. Then you can go for specific Yakus. So don't call at all. That's my recommendation to you. Once you learn more tile efficiency, then you can start calling. Okay. Anyways, we can move on to the main things that I wanted to be talking about. First thing is this: you don't need to be loyal to Yaku hand. Don't feel emotional while playing the game. So, for example, let's say you're chasing a hand and your hand is very good, but if someone else wins first, you don't need to think, okay, well, I didn't win. Okay, don't be loyal.
Yeah.
And the
Oh, I
same thing to,
but
and the same thing happens with yaku. So for example, a lot of people, they will chase specific yaku in a hand. This happens with yakumans especially. It's fine to never win a single yakuman hand. Okay, you can literally get to probably saint or probably even celestial by not ever winning a like a
but
yakuman
but
hand.
come on, man. I just, Kokushimusa was so fucking cool. I don't think I can ever
Kokushimuso is
top that.
good. Okay,
Went
yeah.
so damn
Okay.
cool.
Uh, by the way, the condition for Kokushimuso is the condition I go for is you need to have 11 tiles of 11 types. Okay. If you don't have that, less than
Yeah.
that, you don't go for it. It's probably going to be, you're probably not going to win. It's like using Flash in League. Bronzes can't use the Flash spell well. I mean, true, true, true. Okay. Anyways, you don't need to be emotional about your hands or you don't need to feel loyal to anything. Okay, it's fine to win cheap hands. Okay, you also don't need to chase score. And so for example, some people would say if you win a 1000 hand and they had a very good hand, right, they'll say stuff like, oh, you cheap bastard, like, right, you won a
Hmm.
1000 hand. Doesn't matter. Okay, you won, they lost. It's as simple as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It it's still pretty how I say it, a coward's move, but yeah,
Yeah, they can say
coward
cowards,
live to see another day.
but here's the
That's a
thing. Here's the
that's
thing. We're playing to win, okay? They can call us
yeah.
cowards, but in the end, we're going to be the winner, okay? So we're not playing to go for a like a sunflowers, a sunshine walk in the park. Oh yeah, today I'm going to get a kokushimuso. That's not what we're doing here. All right. Another thing is these are some of the like basic biases. I'm not sure if you're aware of them. I think pretty much every single person who plays mahjong or any competitive game should be aware of like basic logical fallacies. I myself I've read like almost 4 or 5 psychology books, right, just to get like a more better insight on how to improve and stuff. But these are the basic biases that I gathered that are very common in mahjong players. Okay, play not to
Yeah,
lose. Play not.
confirmation bias and hindsight bias are
Yeah.
pretty
Well,
known actually, and yeah, I
yeah.
can see confirmation bias is the birthing
Confirmation
place of
bias.
all bad.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, of all
So
say
what I
bad
mean
habits.
by,
This is the birthplace of all bad habits. That's what I
well,
mean.
let me just give you like specific mahjong related examples, right? Okay. So
Yeah, yeah,
what does confirmation bias means? It basically means you selectively pick reason to justify your decisions made. So for example, an example in mahjong, okay, for confirmation bias is basically uh, uh, selecting reasons uh, that is justifiable for your action. Okay, example of this in mahjong is hell weights. A hell weight is basically a weight that only weights on one tile. Okay, it's a tile that only weights on one tile. That's why it's called a hell weight. You know.
okay.
But some people will say, well, I know that if someone draws this tile, they will definitely cut it. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't justify you doing a hell weight. It's a pretty bad weight. What if that one tile is in the 14 tiles, right? That's in the dead wall,
Yeah,
okay? So that's an example of confirmation bias, basically. Another reason is hindsight bias. This should be pretty obvious. Oh, so for example, I didn't cut this tile because I knew you were going to deal in, even though uh, you had no reason to, no actual
yeah.
logical
There's
reason to
no possible
believe,
way you can know.
yeah, to know that that this tile was going to come out. Self-serving bias basically means that you refuse to look at your own mistakes. So this is pretty common with the type of players that do that, that say the things like, oh, you cheap bastard, you won only 1000 hand,
Yeah,
when they didn't see that they got a very dangerous tile that should have been pretty obvious to read. Okay.
yeah. If
and
I win,
and
it's because I'm good. If you win, it's because
uh,
you're lucky. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's sort of like that. Another example in that can happen in mahjong, okay, of self-serving. bias is something like, so for example, Riichi into a deal in, okay? A lot of people, when they Riichi, sometimes you will deal in, okay? It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
deal in when to Riichi. The question you ask yourself when you deal into Riichi, when you Riichi into deal in, is whether you should have Riichi'd or not. It's not because you can't control the tiles you draw after you deal in, right? Okay?
Right.
What you need to do in a situation like this is need to ask, should I have reached it or not? And you shouldn't ask, oh my god, why did I deal in? I'm so unlucky or stuff like that, or that he's so lucky. You need to take this responsibility. That's basic. But you probably already knew that, right? I think this is also pretty common in league players, right? Like
Oh.
my teammates are bad. It's never me. It's never them. Okay, it's always the teammates, right?
Ooh.
Another thing is
Yeah. Yeah.
optimism pessimism bias. This is basically like the same thing. Optimism bias is being too optimistic. Basically it means you ignore the risk and only focus on the benefits. So for example, with a good hand, you so for example, someone reaches, okay, and you are too shantin, but your hand is very like high score, like a very big dick hand, okay? So but you're too shanti, you ignore the risk and you dealt in, okay? You can be very optimistic, oh but I had good hand, like no, can't focus only on the benefits. And the pessimism bias is the opposite, where you only focus on the risks and you don't focus on the reward. This actually happened to me
Yeah.
recently.
Like for example, always no, always folding instead of following the rules of not folding, like you said.
Yeah, example of this happened to me yesterday, okay, literally yesterday. I had Haneman, okay, basically for free, okay. I get a Hanuman Tenpai, and the tile that I cut to get into Tenpai, I deal in, okay? Now, I don't say to myself, oh my god, I'm so unlucky, I shouldn't have cut this tile. I knew the tile was dangerous and that it might deal in. But I also knew that the reward was so high that I can't, like, I can't ignore this reward. I can't be like, okay, this tile is dangerous, I shouldn't cut it, okay? You can't only focus on the risk, and you can't only focus on the rewards. You have to take a risk versus reward assessment of the hands, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, this thing I wanted to probably should have talked about before starting this argument from authority and argument for ignorance. So, for example, if me as a higher elo player says something, you can question it. Don't just take it for granted. Okay, always question people. The argument for
Mm-hmm.
ignorance is basically the opposite. When someone has no idea what they're talking about, but they talk like so confident, right? That you just assume they must know something. No, you can still question them. Texas
Yeah.
sharpshooter fallacy. Do you know about this one? This is also pretty common in
I have
mahjong
no
play.
idea what this.
Okay, this is pretty interesting one, by the way. So imagine, okay, you are a shooter. You're a Texas shooter, okay, and there is this wall, okay, and for one full week, every day, you just shoot at this wall randomly, all right, randomly. So there's like all of these marks on the wall of like holes, right? And then at the end of the
Yeah.
week, what you do is, okay, so for example, at the end of the week, because you shot randomly, right? At some places, what's going to be is like here there's lots of holes, okay? Here there are fewer holes, okay? What you do is you take a paintbrush, and you make like the aim thing, right? Around the place
Yeah.
where there are big holes, right? Basically, you make a pattern when there was no pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. This also happens a lot in mahjong. So because mahjong is like a random, there is an element of randomness. Okay, it's pretty easy to just make tribute things to pattern when it was actually just a random thing happening. Okay, this can be just like, oh my god, I'm drawing lots of manzu tiles. Surely manzu tiles favor me or something. No, it's random. Fuck off. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, Another thing is availability heuristic. This basically means you always work with the information that is available to you. However, there's also lots of information that's not available to you, so you should be more open to like stuff, and you shouldn't be ignorant. Basically, the affect heuristic basically means that people play with feel a lot. But what I mean by that is, if they win one hand, they'll think like, okay, I'm feeling good, I'm gonna win another hand. No, it doesn't affect your next hand. The next hand, again, you need to start from the scratch. Okay.
Yeah.
These are the most common like psychological biases and heuristics that I see a lot in a lot of mahjong people. Okay, and what else? Yeah.
Curious.
Next, I wanted to discuss the importance of remaining calm and maintaining poise. I'm sure as a high elo league player, you already know that though, so probably not going to
Yeah, of
mention that.
course.
And
Because tilted you play worse.
yeah, but what can also happen is there can be like a long streak of bad luck also sometimes in mahjong. Okay, so for example, for 2 days
Mhm.
straight, you're just not getting the tiles you need. Well, you need to stay calm. Okay, maybe take a break if you know if you're tilted really. But yeah, you need to stay calm and you need to maintain poise. Uh, yeah. Final thing is, yeah, we're always playing to win. Don't be a scrub. The scrubber is basically like you know what a scrub is. Do you know
Yeah.
what scrub is?
I usually use it to refer to instead of bad players, but
No, well, what I meant by scrub are the people who say things like, that was a cowardly play, that was a cheap play, or stuff like that. You do whatever it takes to win, okay? An example of this is, so for example, uh, this was like 3 days ago. I was fourth place, okay? And I get a potential Kokushi, okay? Potential Kokushi.
hmm
However, I identified that I'm probably not going to get Kokushi, but I was the dealer and I had the East pair in the hand, okay? So I identify maybe I can win with the East, okay? And then attempt a Renchan, basically a dealer repeat turn, and then
yeah,
maybe next turn I can get a better hand, right? In hindsight, okay,
yeah,
I reviewed that game. In hindsight, it was not the correct decision. The correct decision was to just declare a draw. But like someone was saying that, oh, you should have declared a draw like that. But I truly believe that going for this Renchen was the best thing. Okay, you should basically what I meant here is do whatever you believe is the best thing to win the game, not to like satisfy any random criteria or something. Okay.
hmm
Final
okay,
thing is that handling losses. I'm sure you already know that you need to handle losses well. Like you can learn from losses.
yeah, okay.
Final. Yeah, I made a side note. These are some of the very good like anime or manga series that you can read to
Oof, okay.
learn this stuff. There's Akagi, which is pretty good. 1 Ounce is
Yeah,
pretty good.
definitely going to watch Akagi.
You
It's
should.
by the guy who made the Kaiji, and I fucking loved Kaiji, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's for incredible.
It's true. Oh, by the way, you should read this manga to anyone who actually wants to learn mahjong. This is the only actual manga that has some sort of like actual mahjong gameplay in it. Okay, it's about a person. It's also very
Okay.
funny. It's about a person who's very high elo in mahjong, in online mahjong, but he has no job. So what he does is then he translates. He uses his online mahjong skills to then do like the real betting mahjong, right? In Japan.
Oh, okay.
It's real good. The the reason it's good is it's I even recommend it is better than Akagi is because the concept it describes are actually like true concepts. Okay, so that's why it's good. Fukumoto material. Fukumoto is the author of Kaiji, like you said. His material is in general pretty good. It explains the mindset of playing to win and staying poised pretty well. You can of course look at Faker. Like you probably looked at the World's final
Yeah.
last time. His Silas play on the six was pretty
Definitely should be
good.
a next one.
I mean, bro, if he doesn't make that play on Silas, I don't think they win at all. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned Faker. You can listen to BLG voice comms. By the way, there's a video of BLG voice comms, and
Yeah.
while their Nexus was getting destroyed, you know what they were saying? They were
But
saying we
I don't
can
know.
turn this around if we play well. Their Nexus is getting destroyed, but and only once the actual the Nexus building gets destroyed, only once that happens do they fall silent and whatnot. But even when the Nexus is getting destroyed, they're
hmm
saying that we can turn this around, right? And the fucking their support only saying to Knight, if you play well, you can do this. And I'm like, we imagine being Knight in this situation. Your support is yelling, you can do this. Of course, the DRX run was also good. This is the reason why I started playing League. And finally, and most importantly, you should read Usogui. The main reason why I named my character after the main character of it is also, even though like you can argue that the story is bad or whatever, it explains the concept of always remaining calm and maintaining poise pretty well. There is a scene in that story in Usogui where, so for example, the main character Baku, right? He's basically
Mm-hmm.
saving up a lot of money to do a big bet, right? And then one of his idiot friends loses almost all of his money. He loses 50 million. You know what his response to the 50 million loss is? He just starts planning what his next move is.
With more money, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways,
Okay.
finally, I wanted to discuss some
Yeah, of course.
problems with trying to learn
Problems with.
mahjong is this. Okay, so basically, uh, the way you can the way you approach learning a game like mahjong is, okay, you can look at higher elo players, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, or you can read books, okay, or you can just grind yourself, okay. Some of the ways that you actually learn the game. The problem when looking at higher elo players is you don't know what factors
What
they're
they're thinking.
considering. Yeah, what
Yeah.
factors they're considering. And
The,
even if you knew the factors, you don't know the degree to which they're considering. Okay. Example
mm-hmm.
of this is, so for example, let's say you're studying player A and you want to become like player A. Player A in a certain table state identifies pushing to be worth like 70 points and folding to be worth 68 points. Okay, so it's pretty close. Okay, and he considers factors M and N. You somehow, through the magic of God, you come to the conclusion that he's considering factors M and N, but you identify pushing to be worth 75 and folding to be worth, let's say, 60 points. Okay. Now, in a similar situation, but it's kind of different, A might reverse this thing, but you might not. Okay. So A might
Okay.
fold,
Yeah.
but you will still fold. Like you get what I'm trying to say, right?
I will. I will. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Since he's as likely to push or fold in a situation where I would just straight up always fold, or
Yeah,
I mean
true.
always push.
Yeah, so that's the problem when you're trying to do this. Same problem comes with grinding. With grinding, the problem comes that you can't learn any like new things. For that, you need to read books. But once again, books
Mm-hmm.
can only provide you so much information, and books are old, so new theory might come up. So, for example, nowadays new AI have come up that you can use to like review your games, and sometimes they disagree with what the already
Okay.
established
Okay.
theory is.
But come on. Come on.
Mm.
Okay. But check this out. You invite a girl over to your house.
Mm-hmm.
There's a library full of mahjong books. That's actually super cool. That's it. You're getting late because of mahjong. So
Bro,
the books are on the table.
it is actually true. I am telling. I actually have printed out one of the mahjong books actually, and the reason I printed it out is because I took that book to class in my college classes, and I like didn't pay attention to the class. I was sitting in the back bench just reading fucking mahjong books. Pretty based.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, this is pretty much everything that I had prepared for you. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Or if editor has any questions.
I don't think so. No. Most of
Exa-
the
I,
questions
I
I had, I asked them
yeah,
as we
I
were.
tried to be pretty thorough with it. So like, you got
Yeah. Yeah.
everything you needed to start, even covering like the outside of game stuff, right?
Besides, we went over so much that I don't
Mm.
think I even have a space for a question in my head. So
Ask him when can I have a session. You can just message me on Discord. Hold up, I'll send my Discord in the chat, and then you can just message me on Discord. We can schedule one for you. Um, anyways,